I am a
So, as per usual, we'll target them and take them out one at a time.
I'll take care of it.
Now, Ebb, Grave Strike. Actually, Ebb, get closer, then Grave Strike. Just in case. Just in case. And do that. And Quick Strike. Phantom Bolt.
ready.
Good work.
Heal up Tiberius so he doesn't end up dead or mortally wounded again, as he has a tendency to do that. Get himself badly injured.
Are you afraid of death, worm?
And I'd rather avoid having to deal with the nonsense associated with it, honestly. And once again, Ebb casts a spell. Now you'll have to just straight up attack until one of your abilities recovers, I guess. Just keep at it. And Barrack has his Striking Iron attack back. My favorite one of his, because it's just straight up damage. And you know it's going to hit pretty much. Unlike his other main attack he's got at the moment, which seems to have only a chance of hitting, rather than being guaranteed. Barrack can now level, so we'll give him an extra point in might. And let's see. What else? Next, I'm going to grab Phalanx 1. Give Barrack a bonus to his armor so he can stay on his feet even longer. Because, to use some MMO terminology, Barrack is truly, in every sense of the word, our tank. And we are going to tank with him, because he is our tank. We may as well build him out like that.
Send them at me in waves.
Now, I'll try and finish off at least one of these guys quickly. Don't know how quick it'll be, but even so. And I need you to move up.
By your command.
And we will continue magic attacking. Over there. Now Tiberius, you fight him. Barrack, you can fight him. Landry can assist you with fighting him, because they're the more threatening members of the group. Now that he's down, though, I want you after him. deal with the people that are an actual threat first. Ebb, smash his ass into the ground. Barrack, striking iron.
Don't know.
Now we're down to the two idiots who are basically no threat at all. And Tiberius's injuries have healed themselves, as if by magic, it seems.
My own strength.
A little bit of that, would you? Ebb, get up close and use Grave Strike.
That's how it's done.
These idiots
Not
have
a
made the
problem.
foolish decision to clump themselves
Nope,
together
sorry.
like that. And I'm not one to ignore an advantage when it presents itself right in front of me. And down they all go. Dead person over here. Carrying a note. Don't trust Jacomus. Who is Jacomus? Favored soldiers sent a civilian on their behalf. Evidence against the disfavored. Please don't make me decide the disfavored are the bad people in this trial. And we have an item to investigate. Please don't make me do that. I actually like the disfavored, and so does Tiberius, and thinks the Scarlet Chorus are arrogant pricks who think the best way to solve a problem is to throw numbers at it. And we're not fond of that in the slightest. So we would rather not have to deal with that if we can avoid it, but we will if it comes down to it, is what I'm trying to say there. Tiberius is really hoping he does not have to do something like that.
Trapped. I'm used to that feeling.
Can't do that.
How am I supposed to get around that?
Sorry, I
Is what
can't.
I would like to know. Something to do with that rock, I think.
Can't do that. Over there, a way out has opened. Can't do that.
I guess we have to only send some of our group through there, and they hit the thing.
At once.
Lantry, I guess you're on button pressing duty. We can do without our healer for one fight against a single enemy, I think. That'll have to do it. Simple enough solution, if a little irritating.
On it. Heads up, we have company.
Tiberius, do your usual attack. Same with you, Barrack. Ebb has Phantom Bolt on the go, and then she can Electric Jolt him. An Arcane Missile. And Grave Strike, even though it's one enemy. There we go.
Will do.
Open that thing. Stone of Eludication. For Hieronymus. Worn down and faded rune.
Will do.
Get out of there. Lantreek, you can leave that place. And everyone can meet up out here. I would give this place a look. Okay, it's two enemies. They're going to get punished for existing now. Quite clearly. That's how it works. Then do that and launch a Grave Strike.
As you wish. By your command.
Attack each of them when possible. And it looks as though these enemies are more or less done for.
Not a problem.
Good thing too. That was an easy fight. I haven't the slightest clue. Ah, it's the button thing again. Now Tiberius, I think, needs a little more quickness. And we could do with an increase to the damage we do with our dual weapons. Hence, I'm always fighting with multiple weapons at the same time. Two of those creatures leaping out at us. This is nothing new. I'm used to it already, pretty much. Go Lantry. Ebb has a Grave Strike incoming.
Demonstration of our power seems in order.
I think my wisdom is finally catching up to my aim.
I'm on.
Now,
That's how it's done.
let's get
I got it.
this. Try and blast him away, would you? And I'm letting that do a little bit too much damage, it looks like. He'll have to stand back for the time being and support. Like Ebb does, basically. Grave Strike, has reasons, and
Will do.
beat to it. Speaking of Ebb, she needs to level up her spell strength. She is a mage, after all. Let me see. What do we pick? And it's a bonus to Grave Light and light damage at night. Let's see here. I use Gravelight a lot, even though it's iffy what time of day I'm doing it at. That could turn out to be handy.
I got it.
It really depends on a lot of things. I don't know what that was, but I'll grab it anyways.
Right.
Interesting rune. We will take a rubbing of it. One more,
Right.
and that'll be complete, according to Lantry. We're doing pretty good, and I could change this over to the other type with that other rune if I want to fight some additional enemies. But at the moment, I'm not too inclined to do that.
See that?
Good thing it wasn't a trap. I wandered right past the thing. Heavy keystone. A faintly glowing sigil has been carved into this small weathered shard. Ones like this are not uncommon in the old walls and often fit as keystones into larger structures. Despite its size, this stone is surprisingly heavy. We found one of
My
what we
burden is
need.
heavy enough without adding another stone.
The Bane snare is already ruptured.
This'll
There we go. Some more enemies. So, as per usual, we will attack and kill them. Nice.
I will aid you.
God, terrible at this. How am I not dead yet?
So, kill that thing.
Whatever you need.
Do one of those attacks.
Take me if you can.
You do one of those. Tiberius, thrust attack. Lantry, please drink a potion. And Lantry is going to take some damage, it looks like. That's not going to actually... He's going to be knocked unconscious. Annoyingly enough. And we may have to use up one of our camping supplies and rest to get rid of everyone's wounds, because our party members are accumulating quite the collection of wounds, and I think we should probably see to those before doing anything else, really. So, if at all possible, I will try and address our wounds before anything else. Potion of the Elemental Barrier. And it looks like we have something else over here. A cloth hat and an iron
Who says
hammer.
you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Lantry is now leveled up. And we've basically explored this whole area. I'm not too interested in the idea of changing these out to fight a few more enemies. We're going to give Lantry some additional health, I think. He dies often enough that it's worth it. gifted healer. Yes, please, Lantry. We need you to be able to heal our people a little bit better. Because it's more than likely we're going to get to a point eventually where Lantry will not be able to heal us fast enough to keep up with the amount of damage our enemies do. And since I have a feeling that's going to happen, I'm going to start taking a few of those skills to jump ahead and not have to deal with that point when it would have come up, just by being better than it, for lack of a better phrase. Anyways, we'll head back into the old area and plonk in that stone. Once the loading screen's done anyways, because those tend to take a little bit. I mean, let's be clear, I don't have a problem with the length of time of the loading screens in Tyranny. I just generally get a little irritated with loading screens. I mean, for goodness sake, I play modded Space Engineers. And once you've played that, then it's generally pretty damn hard for you to be bothered by the amount of time a loading screen takes, just because modded Space Engineers can take in excess of 5 minutes, sometimes even in excess of 15 minutes. Insert the keystone. We have to do it in the right order, it looks like. I hadn't thought about that. So, we'll head up and take on the enemies in that room that I left open once I've dropped a save. And after that, we'll head over to this place. I haven't the slightest clue how we're supposed to get up to that platform right now. I'll find out eventually, no doubt. Actually, wait. I'm going to try something with that platform. This thing. Maybe it will react to my other keystone that I have now. And I'll be able to use that. And we have all somehow been healed of our wounds, so we don't have to rest. Not responding to torch keys. So no, I'll go and do this now. I should have figured, but I wanted to give it a shot while I was thinking of it. Okay. And now drop a save. And because this is clearly the right time to do it, we're going to spend a little time chatting with people.
At your service. I am nothing if not a semi-reliable font of knowledge. What did you want to discuss?
Okay, what can you tell me about the School of Quill and Ink?
You mean what's left of them?
Pretty much, yeah.
What would you like to know?
Well, the core philosophy, for one thing.
The sages are archivists, academicians, and arcanists. Our mission is to preserve the knowledge of today for the good of tomorrow. Though we are known for our magic, few realize that most sages concern themselves with scribal work. Only a select few have the talent or focus to work the sigils.
Ah,
Each
that's
sage benefited
interesting.
from the scrolls of learning that came before him. And so, each sage must repay this boon by gathering, authoring, or translating new texts to the stacks. But all that's a bit generous. It's no secret that the sages were far more happy to add knowledge than to share it.
Okay. What sort of sigils do the sages practice?
Traditionally, we use magic only so that we may observe and archive. So that means magic of concealment and protection. But, in truth, we have amassed a great wealth of knowledge. Before the Vellum Citadel fell, any given subject of magic had at least one sage practicing it.
So you're admitting you had at least one agent of yours studying the magic of the Tidecasters?
Yeah, I have a feeling Eb's not too happy about that.
Well, I mean, if such information had fallen into our hands generations ago, we'd be fools not to...
I don't think she's going for it.
Not to suckle off that ill-gotten teat of knowledge? Filthy word whores of the worst degree. The Edict of Fire wasn't half of what you deserved.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're not going to stay neutral. And there's one thing Tiberius isn't especially fond of, it's theft. I mean, we kind of like Lantry, but his order we do not appreciate. I guess the centuries of theft are coming back to bite you in the ass, aren't they?
Well, it's not like I personally stole from your school, nor did I get to study the Tidecaster scrolls.
He doesn't like that.
Trying, I'll admit.
Get over it.
Just stop. The less you talk, the less you'll suffer when I finally kill you.
Nice. Tell me a bit about the school's history. Let's try and move on to something a little less awkward.
The sages trace their days to a generation after 5 Wives, when the first settlers moved west. The Vellum Citadel began as a scholastic retreat, slowly blossoming into the finest library in the continent across the generations.
Hey, 5 Wives, the name for both the historical landfall of seafaring human settlements on the Tiers, as well as the name for the archipelago where the first, now largely abandoned, settlements were founded. In centuries past, the historic event was known more properly as the 5 Wives and the 7 Husbands, for, as the story goes, 7 ships made landfall, and after 2 seasons of difficult living, the 7 husbands got back on their boats and see what else was nearby, and all perished. Many suggest this is just a parable used to explain the gender roles of land, ownership, and admiralty in the Tiers, but the nobility take the origin story quite seriously, and nearly every noble house in the Tiers has a family mythology, linking them back to these 5 fabled matriarchs. Ah, that's very interesting.
The centuries fly by, and suddenly,
I have to
the Vellum
admit,
Citadel is the definitive archive in the
I really like the way they present the lore in Tyranny. In fact, that it's just, hey, here's something interesting. Click on it if you want to know more, rather than just shoving it in your face and saying, you must know this. Click now. I love how they do it.
When Kairos came to the Tiers, that's when our hubris came back to haunt us. The Elder Sages, the other Elder Sages, not I, believed our spellcraft was enough to ward off any siege. Well, we know how that turned out.
Yes, we do. But while we're on the subject, why did the sages resist Kairos? It strikes me as being a little bit on the pointless side. They were inevitably going to lose anyways. If for no other reason than the fact that there can't have been more of a handful of them, and Kairos had a massive army. And I know Tiberius isn't a fan of the idea of throwing numbers away to achieve something, but even he has to admit it works sometimes. Just as long as the people doing it are not the Scarlet Chorus. Because they seem to be really bad at recognizing when it's a good idea and when it's just stupidity.
Why, indeed. As historians, it is our place to document, not direct. Let others rage and resist. Ours is the duty to record. The decision to defy Kairos was not unanimous, nor one decided upon lightly.
It was also very dumb.
The laws of Kairos would forbid much of the knowledge contained in the Vellum Citadel. The Elder Sages feared, rightly perhaps, that the Overlord would put an end to our tradition of stockpiling knowledge. The Battle of the Vellum Citadel was a battle to preserve knowledge, but our actions will be remembered as treason against the will of Kairos.
Tradition of stockpiling knowledge? You mean stealing it? And that'll do it for now. Lantry is no more loyal to us than anyone else. So, we get along with him okay, but not great. Do we have anything else to say to Barrick?
My
Let's
Lord
check
Binder,
that.
you have something which requires my attention?
And he is nice and respectful because we get along very well.
What can I do for you?
We're not going to discuss removing his armor. As I've said, that strikes me as being little on the tactful side. Little on the tactless side, and more than a little bit rude. Eb?
What is it you need? Well, we're working with the disfavored. You want my advice? My advice would be to get close to Graven Ash.
We've had this conversation before.
I'm not saying it's a quick plan, but I think if you stay close in his confidence, the moment to strike will reveal itself in time.
Yeah, we're not... We've had that conversation before, and we sort of did a hypothetical humor her approach.
Ask away.
Well, I want to ask you about our travel companions. This ought to be an interesting conversation. Tell me about your thoughts on Kills in Shadows. I mean, we haven't worked with him before, but she apparently knows enough to have an opinion on him, and this ought to be interesting.
So long as she doesn't perceive you weak enough to challenge, Kills in Shadows should prove a fearsome, loyal retainer.
I find it strange. In humans, Kairos' invasion spawned despair, surrender, and rage. The beastmen seem almost indifferent to Kairos, and unshaken by the constant state of war the Tears have seen.
And Kills in Shadow adopts this optimism more than any. Seems she has no room to be sad about what the Overlord has destroyed. She seems to care only about what can be carved out of what remains. I try to find inspiration in that.
Okay. And I'm back. Sorry for the pause. Real life stuff. So, we're not going to ask about Verse because, as far as I'm aware, they've never met while we were traveling companions. We will ask about Barrick because the way he behaved towards the rebels in Vendrian's Well, we can get a hint they're not going to get along very well, and that he would kind of not like him, probably.
My one concern with Barrick is that he's still loyal to Graven Ash and not to you. Barrick seems steadfast, faithful, and dependable. But if it comes down to you versus Graven Ash, therein lies the test.